YouTubers, and welcome back to Tony the Technician's channel. And today on Tool Talk episode 33, I kind of want to discuss, tools for new technicians. Now, I'm not going to be necessarily going into the way you should go about buying them, like I stated in one of my previous videos on whether you should buy, mediocre tools or the high-priced tools or anything like that. But I am going to kind of show you, for any new techs out there, maybe some do-it-yourselfers, the things that you need to basically start out. Because when you start out, you want to buy what you need, not what you want, and end up with a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need. So if you're starting out as, let's say, like a lube tech or something like that, where you're just doing, strictly like oil changes, tire rotations, tire swaps, coolant flushes, and brake jobs, you don't necessarily need all the big specialty tools and stuff like that. Once you have done that job for a while, then you'll get into more of the bigger jobs. But starting out, most likely you're going to be working on, oil changes, tire rotations, and coolant flushes, and little stuff like that. Where basically, no matter what manufacturer, you're basically going to need the same tools. Some vehicles you do require some special tools, so it all depends on where you get a job at. But we're going to go through my toolbox, and I'm just going to kind of show you the tools that I would suggest getting as you're first starting out. And then any of you guys down there that have, or that are watching, that is either new or you remember when you first started the tools that you needed, and say, I don't have them in my toolbox here, so I forget to show them, can you please leave a comment down below just stating some things that I might not cover in this video that a new technician would need to do certain jobs. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you do, make sure to hit that thumbs up, leave a comment down below what you guys think, or if you have a list of tools that you would suggest to some of the new technicians. And if you're not a subscriber, as always, please subscribe. Thank you. Okay, so how we're going to go about doing this is I'm just going to quickly go through my toolbox and show you kind of what I think a new technician would need doing, oil changes, brake jobs, coolant flushes, and simple things like that, and some things that you probably won't need. But for those of you that are watching that have been doing this or remember when you first started out, please leave your comments down below of things that I might forget to mention in this video. So we're going to start out at the top and we're just going to work our way down. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest getting T-handles. You're not going to need them all that often. You can save some money and just focus on like a set like this. You don't necessarily have to get this set. This is like a 114 piece set from Gear Wrench. It runs around $100 or so. But I would suggest just picking yourself up some bit sockets, which this is all Torx and Allen, and then you got your inverted Torx. And if you're going to be working at Volkswagen or anything like that, I would suggest maybe some triple squares. The reason being you want a set of these is because some manufacturers do use like Allen's for removing their brake calipers and stuff like that. So you will need those even on some simple jobs. Then next up, you're definitely going to want to get yourself a socket set. Whether that be you buy sockets individually on rails and then buy the ratchets individually, or if when you start out you just want to go out and buy a big socket set of 3/8 or 1/4 inch, 3/8 and 1/2 inch sockets and ratchets all in one case, or you can buy them individual cases like this. This is just a 1/4 inch drive set. I would focus on maybe your 3/8 stuff first if you don't buy the big set with all drive sizes. Maybe focus on 3/8 first and then work either to 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch depending on what kind of work you do. But you definitely want to get yourself a good set of that. And then that's basically it up at the top. Well, another thing I want to mention, you don't necessarily have to get an underhood light that like this, even though it does only run $30. I mean, basically anybody should get one of these. But if you're just starting out, you definitely just want to get a little light, kind of like this one, or a pocket LED flashlight for when you're doing oil changes and all those jobs. A light definitely always comes in handy. So then, as far as this drawer, I mean, obviously you're going to want your pens and pencils and stuff. Maybe a small pick set. But that's about it for this drawer. Then you definitely want to get yourself a good set of screwdrivers. Doesn't matter what brand. I'm not going into what's good quality and what's bad quality, just stating that you do want a good set of screwdrivers. You don't really necessarily need this type of stuff when you're first starting out. Maybe a little ratcheting screwdriver with some bits, but then as far as the electrical when first starting out, I wouldn't go dumping your money into a scanner right off the bat, especially if you're only doing basic jobs. So maybe a test light and some wire strippers, electrical tape, but most likely your shop should supply you with usable items like this, like electrical tape, wire brushes, things that you go through quite often, but it's always handy to just have your own. So next up is a good plier set, whether you go with, a set like this or, just a simple set that covers basically all your basic types of pliers, and then a good set of vice grips. I wouldn't recommend these. These are big and bulky, but vice grips are definitely handy, and then maybe a set of long needle nose pliers as well. Not too sure if you'll be needing snap ring pliers or clip ring pliers right away. Maybe some of you techs that have been doing this a while, do you remember when you first started out, did you really use snap ring pliers a lot on those small jobs or not really? Let me know. Here we just have wire brushes. I mean, that's just something you can pick up at any time. They're really cheap and they're always handy to have. Then these are just more of those bit sockets and stuff. If you are doing a lot of oil changes and stuff, I would suggest picking up a set of these. These are for those oil filter cartridges. Like my Malibu uses one where you basically have to have, it's this one that you need, the 32 millimeter, and you can't get to it with a regular socket because of where it's mounted at. So I would suggest a nice set of the oil filter sockets. The thing I want to cover real quick is you definitely, if you're doing a lot of coolant flushes and stuff, maybe your primary job is coolant flushes and water pump swaps and stuff like that, you definitely want to get a no spill coolant funnel. It has all the different attachments for your radiators and stuff like that and surge tanks, so I would definitely suggest that. Next up, another main thing that we use, you definitely want to get yourself a nice set of wrenches, whether that be your regular wrenches or ratcheting wrenches. Most of the time in the automotive field, you're going to be using metric nowadays. If you work on like light duty diesel or tractors or stuff, they use more SAEs still. So it all depends on what you do, but a good set of wrenches and stubby wrenches is definitely recommended. If you do a lot of brake jobs, you will definitely want to pick up a set of flare nut wrenches, because when removing brake lines and fuel lines and stuff like that, you definitely want to make sure you're using this type of wrench so you don't go rounding off the fastener. These aren't really necessary. These are some deep offsets. You don't really need that stuff starting out. These just kind of make more difficult jobs a little bit easier. But just starting out, just a good set of wrenches. It's like here I have flex head ratcheting wrenches. They're really handy. It's all your preference, so. Then, like I stated, your sockets and ratchets, you either buy them individually or you buy them in sets. But you definitely want a good set of ratchets. I would suggest, your regular ratchets, and then maybe a good set of flex head ratchets. They always come in handy no matter what job you're doing. Flex sockets are really handy. But I'm not really sure if you'll need those starting out, but they are extremely handy. I keep an extra set, this set of just 10 millimeter sockets, because I use 10 a lot. 10, 13, 15, things like that you use quite often. And people tend to lose their most common sockets because they're using them all the time. So I made sure to get a good set of 10 millimeter. Same thing down here. You do want to get yourself a good set of impact sockets. Sunex and Pittsburgh, they do hold up for when you're beginning. I know a lot of professional technicians that make a lot of toolbox tours that use Sunex and Pittsburgh and stuff like that, and they work just fine. If you crack one, you can replace it easily. They're impact sockets. They all tend to do that. So it all depends on what you want to spend, but a good set of impact sockets. Extensions, you want a good variety of extensions, obviously starting out with your 3/8 drive. Well, depending, if you're in the normal automotive field, 3/8 drive is your most common. If you work on diesels and stuff, that might not be true. You don't really need, you know, like a pass-through socket set. That's not really necessary. This isn't really necessary when you're first starting out. These are just more extensions. You definitely want to make sure that if you buy a socket set that they come with these, or you pick up a set if you don't buy those flex sockets that are built in. Spark plug sockets, you definitely want to make sure you have a set of spark plug sockets, because that's a pretty basic job that anybody can do. Sorry about that, guys. My phone just did an update and it's really upsetting me because my battery is dying really fast and my phone's overheating now. So it keeps stopping my recording, so I put my phone in the fridge and it seems to work. So that's what I'm doing to get this video done for you guys. So like I was saying, you definitely want to pick yourself up some spark plug sockets if your socket set that you buy doesn't come with that. Next on down, you definitely want to pick up either an oil filter wrench or pliers. If you're doing a lot of oil changes, these things will really come in handy. This one angles and everything, so you can get in those awkward situations. These are just the ratcheting screwdrivers. Like I showed you up top, this is a more expensive one. It's really good though. You're looking around $50 or so. Up next, you might want to get yourself some files. They're always handy to have, and they don't usually run too expensive unless you get like the Snap-on one. That one can run up to like $150. You don't really need scrapers starting out unless you're dealing with some old like water pumps and stuff like that, but this is more for like when you really have to tear into an engine. Pry bars, I would definitely suggest getting a set of good pry bars. Not necessarily these, I wouldn't use these in the professional field, but a good set of pry bars. A good set of punch and chisels, just because those are always handy to have no matter what job you're doing, as well as a good hammer set. You want a wide variety of hammers. So. And then something that everybody should have is, you know, some gloves, a mask, some eye pro, just stuff like that. And then as far as like the specialty drawer, even when you're first starting out, you definitely want to invest in some impacts, whether that be cordless or pneumatic, either one. These really speed up the jobs, and especially in the automotive field, you want to be doing stuff pretty fast, but you know, not so fast that it's affecting your quality of work. But a good set of impacts, or you know, power tools or pneumatic tools. Because even if you're just doing oil changes and you're getting paid hourly, the better you do on these oil changes and stuff like that, and the faster you do them and your quality is good, the faster you're going to get bumped up and you're going to be able to start doing some more jobs. So even though you're getting paid hourly and not flat rate, you still want to do a quick, good job on everything that comes through the door. Then if you're doing a lot of tire rotations and tire changes and stuff, a set of impact lug nut sockets are always handy. Then what else is in here? You got some pulley pullers and some, maybe a brake bleeder if you're doing a lot of brakes. Not necessarily this one, but a good like Mighty Vac. These are just pullers and stuff. You won't really need those too often. A good torque wrench, you definitely want to invest in a good torque wrench because you will be using that a lot. If you do a lot of tires, I would suggest probably looking into some torque sticks as well. I don't have any, I need to pick some up. But I think that's it as far as this toolbox. Okay guys, so just really quick, a couple more things. I stated you might want a pick set. Something I forgot to mention is a set like this, you also want to get a magnet an extendable magnet or an extendable mirror or pickup claw. All three of those work great for any situation, as we all know we all drop fasteners and little stuff down in areas that we can't get to. So a nice little set like this is great to have. Something that I forgot to mention, even though for electrical, when you're first starting out, you don't need a scanner. Maybe a cheaper scanner that reads codes and everything, but you don't need to, right off the bat get that full-blown scanner, oscilloscope, and all of that. But a good voltmeter is always good to have for testing small circuits and stuff like that. So a good voltmeter, as well as a good breaker bar, and of course your chemicals and sealers and stuff like that, funnels, little stuff like that. But I think I covered a majority of everything that a new technician would need to just start off, and you can grow from there. Another thing is, you don't go out and spend $10,000 on a brand new toolbox and fill it with crap tools and a whole bunch of tools that you don't need, and then figure out that you don't want to do this, and now you just bought a $10,000 box full of tools and you have nothing to do with them. So you definitely want to put your money into the tools and then move up. As you move up, then get yourself a little bit better box. That's the same thing I'm doing. I really want a nice box, but I just can't afford to go out and dump so much money into a brand new toolbox. I'm gonna have to get a mediocre toolbox, and my main focus is on tools so I can make that money back and then get myself a better box. But I think I covered a good variety of tools for new techs. So if you guys enjoyed this, please hit that thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you have more to add to this list, and let me know what you guys think of this video. Also, stay tuned for tomorrow. I'm gonna try and do a live video, and I would love for all of you guys to join me. I love talking to you guys and hearing what you guys have to say, so please join me. It'll be up tomorrow sometime. I'm gonna try and do it, so I hope to see a lot of you guys there. So, as always, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Thank you guys.